Productions.
The Green Route merch available now on sourkidsmerch.com.
Due to suggestive adult themes and dialogue, this podcast is intended for adults. In other words, the truth is ugly, so we get ugly right along with it. Everything we say is out of love for ourselves, our people, and our community. Sincerely, the Green Route Podcast. Want to welcome y'all to the Green Route Podcast. I am GS.
And I'm Marlissa. What's up, y'all? Welcome back.
Welcome back. All right, y'all. We're going to dive right into it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're going to start off with specifically Morehouse College. They have been chosen. It's not their first time, but they have been chosen to have Biden as their speaker. And there's a little bit of a tad bit of
just a spark of concern.
A concern. So the first interview that pops up when I started to research was the young man who basically said that Biden is coming and I don't really plan to be there for it.
Yeah.
So looking at his interview and a few others, now they don't mention Gaza, they don't mention Palestine,
right?
But there's just this overall disconnect that's spreading amongst Black youth and Black voters, because we all know that that's what this is for.
Yeah.
Biden is seeking, Biden has been actually on a small run. He was at a church not too long ago, a few weeks back, a Black church, not too long ago. Now he's at Morehouse.
In Atlanta. Wasn't a Black church in Atlanta?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I believe it was. So right now they are doing a run because I think that they feel that Black, I want to say the early 20s, mid 20s, a lot of them, they're not feeling that support from them. So they're doing their best to reach out to somebody. But I think what's largely happening is that we're all waking up, but I think as time has gone on, of course, with more TikTok, with more information out there, the younger generations of us are just not fucking with the political apparatus as it is.
They're done. Yeah. And his team probably looked at Morehouse and was like, it's really the perfect nexus. It's young Black people, but specifically a college campus during a time where we are seeing the atmospheres there be supercharged with protests, with revolting, with resistance to what is. And so I could definitely see Morehouse, when they lined up the list of schools that he could go give a commencement speech at, I could see Morehouse, especially, and also this is one of the premium HBCUs, right? Like when you think about where
the Ivies, one of the Ivies of Black Ivies.
Yes, where Black people, like that is one of the goals of where, you got the Spelmans, Howards, Morehouse, Hampton,
Fisk.
like Fisk, those are kind of like the big five, right? So yeah, Morehouse was just a great place where he probably thought like, oh, I can rack up some votes by going to appeal to this young generation of voters, especially in a time where I'm having to put out statements from the White House about what's going on college campuses.
I just think it's interesting because it does look and smell like a PR move because of all of the unrest that, like you said, that's happening on other college campuses, the Columbias, Yales, NYU, now at my alma mater, UT Austin.
Right. I saw that today.
It's now happening at these institutions. And it's interesting that he's not going there. He's not going there. He's, I guess in his own way, they're like, okay, we can kill two birds with one stone. We can not only have this beautiful imagery of Black students.
That's right.
Receiving their degrees with Biden at the helm, but we also show the world that not all college students hate the government.
That's right.
And it's like, truth be told, HBCUs have generally always kind of been on that cusp anyway. Like HBCUs don't get enough funding So we're already fighting internal issues.
Mhm.
Not only that, a lot of HBCUs can't afford to just do some of the things and be as active as those other schools.
Yeah.
The other part about it is too, these groups that receive money or give money to, the Columbias, to those universities, they're not necessarily giving to HBCUs.
Mhm.
Let's be clear. And if they are giving some amount of money, they're giving them money to stay quiet,
Yep.
to not really address the issues outside of their campuses. So, but my hope is that enough of them boycott it. Let's be clear. I hope that they send a very important message. Not so much that they're standing in solidarity with Palestine, which I would love if they did do that. But even if it's not that, just them standing up in solidarity and saying that we're not going to be a tool for you, or we don't want to be involved in your theatrics, because that's all this shit is. It's theatrics.
That's it. It is an insult to
It's an insult to us
their
for sure.
intelligence, to being able to see through bullshit and being handled. Because I mean, that's kind of how I felt about it. Like you're thinking you're about to go to one of the premier institutions of thought innovation amongst Black people who already have to be more advanced just for survival's sake.
Mhm.
And you think that you're about to go in there and handle them by giving what we know will be a fairly canned speech that a bunch of speechwriters will touch and strip of anything that may offend anyone.
Mhm.
But that will also plant seeds that say, hey, vote for me in November. You thought that you were going to be able to just walk in there and do that. And what I realized is that there are students that, like the young man you mentioned, who are like, not only are we going to boycott it, I'm not going personally, but I'm also getting with my faculty leadership
Mhm.
and my administrative leadership on campus to let them know that this is not okay. So what I also read is that because there is so much concern amongst the students, they're like, Morehouse is actually having to hold like a forum
Mhm.
around whether or not to even let this commencement speech go on. So that's going to be on the 25th, where the students are making so much noise. They're like, either we're not going to be there or y'all change course.
So the hope is that because now that they've opened that door,
Mm-hmm.
my hope is that they do reach out to other alumni from other institutions. I hope that they reach out to Yale.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they get in contact with some people from Columbia, the people who are currently protesting, because the connection that they can make in standing together in solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
I mean, like the pro-Palestinian
Yes,
protest.
pro-Palestinian,
Yeah. Okay.
I sincerely believe that that's something that could benefit everyone. If everyone could stand together and say that we don't want what you're selling because we know what you're doing.
Yep.
The hope is that, because like I said, first of all, big props to the students who are protesting right now, who are standing up for Palestine, who are standing up against this genocide that we're all witnessing. So props to those students who are demanding change and demanding that their institutions cut ties with the Israeli state.
And I think so. Columbia was, I think, kind of where it started.
Mm-hmm.
But no, let me not say that. We've been seeing this. It started, in my opinion, at Harvard, like back in October, and where you had pro-Palestinian students or Palestinian students themselves saying, like, "Hey, let's bring into context the historic occupation of these places." And you have to remember, like, it was like doxing going on out there in Boston. It was crazy. So it really started with Harvard, kind of over there on the East Coast, but we've seen Columbia recently stand up. We've seen Berkeley. We've seen USC.
Oh yeah, yep.
We've seen MIT. And I think the most recent that I saw today was UT Austin.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I also want to be clear, y'all. This is not just, hey, y'all shouldn't do this. These students are actually being arrested. Like, they are being taken
Hundreds
into
of students
custody
are being
for protesting. And so I was talking to somebody on the way over here, and I was like, I can't even lie. Gen Z has made me proud several times since they have been civically active. This is one of those moments as a millennial when I look at the next generation and I'm like, we gonna be okay.
Right.
Like, because y'all are in it and y'all see it for what it is. And y'all are, it's crazy enough, but this country has made it so that there is no American dream. So what the fuck do I have to lose? So these students don't mind skipping class and setting up tents and protesting and standing against not only what they're seeing over in Gaza, but also the very institutions that are telling them that they have to shut up and fall in line and continue to pay tuition there. So yeah, I know in California today, in LA at USC, they like knocked down some of the tent encampments, that students had set up. But what I've also noticed is that they're cropping right back up. So from me to y'all, I am very proud of Gen Z.
Salute.
I see what y'all are doing, and I think you are doing it in exactly the right place, in a place that's supposed to be for free thinkers and for thought innovation. And y'all are literally showing that you can't tell me what to think when I am seeing what I'm seeing. You can't gaslight me and tell me it's something else when I'm watching what we're doing.
And my last point is, what you're doing is working because you have Satan Yahoo putting out press releases claiming that you all are anti-Semitic. It's now a badge of honor for him to call you anti-Semitic because we already know his goal is to propagate ideas of violence against Israel that they're actually doing. Like that's what he wants. That's what he said, that these students want the annihilation of Israel. They call for the death of Israel.
Have you heard any of this? Because
we have not.
All these claims.
As a matter of fact, again, wrapping up my point. Matter of fact, there was a girl who wore a shirt that said Jew. She may have been on the Columbia's campus, and she said she wanted to make herself look proud. She was just standing there. And did you? It's crazy to believe. No one accosted her.
Imagine
no one
that.
beat her.
Nobody touched her.
All these folks who were calling for the annihilation of Israel and the killing of all Jews, she was in the middle of the protest and no one touched her.
Safe.
Isn't that something? Again, that's what the enemy will do. The enemy will push ideas that they themselves are actually doing. They'll push ideas of violence and murder that they themselves are actually guilty of.
And Black people know this well, because we're supposed to be the violent ones and, criminals. And it's funny that the people who have called us this throughout history have been the ones perpetuating the same crimes that we've been accused
of. The Jedi mind fuck of America.
Yeah.
All right.
What we got next? Okay.
I'll say this, and I could be wrong, but I could be right. There's a lot of drama that's happening within the rap community right now. And I'm going to go out and say that I believe that Drake himself is paid by the Jewish establishment. He's supported by the Jewish establishment. And it makes sense why so many back-to-back tours, why so much drama is happening right now. Again, it's all theatrics, but the whole point of it, I believe right now, is to continue the distraction of what they're doing over there. I think that he's getting paid overtime, and it makes sense because Kanye West posted, made a comment about his rich baby daddy being, what is that guy's name?
Drake's rich baby daddy?
Yep. He is the president of Universal, Lucian. Yes, Lucian Grange. And come to find out, Lucian Grange is one of the biggest contributors to the Israel establishment, to the IDF. He has been in multiple fundraisers over the years.
I need to tighten that head up. I mean, I'm just saying.
All I'm saying again, you can, conspiracy G, however you want to see it. I sincerely believe that this is manufactured for the sake of distraction. And I believe that Universal, the president, all of the Israeli establishment that's connected to the larger artists, they're contributing to that in their own way. That's my take.
And what's the control factor, right? Like, we get Drake to start some beef and keeps people distracted. Like, what's the?
I mean, that's it. That's really all it is.
Okay.
Hip hop music, just entertainment in general, was created for the sole purpose of distraction. Again, we go back to Roman, the days of the Roman wrestling and tiger fights and all of that. They pushed that because a lot of people in Rome were poor and didn't have any control over their governing system, which is why Rome fell just as quick as it started, it ended. Wonderful empire, quote unquote. But yeah, that's what I think it's for. That's what I think. I think Drake and I think the establishment, they're getting paid to do all this as a means of distraction. So that's my opinion. I could be wrong.
I don't disagree.
I could be right.
You, but I'm gonna find you a conspiracy theorist hat. You wait.
Thank you.
I'm gonna find you one.
All right, y'all. Moving on to the next one.
Yeah. Tennessee. Let's talk about. We haven't talked about Tennessee, I think, since the two young brothers were ousted for siding with their constituents after the deadly shooting at Covenant School, interestingly enough.
So let's be clear on that one. Tennessee is a very interesting place. The home of the Klan, of the Ku Klux Klan, the founding fathers of the Ku Klux Klan, right out of good old Tennessee. Tennessee is another southern state that we know low literacy rates, high infant mortality for Black folks. Just think about some of the worst statistics for Black people, but state by state, and Tennessee is one of those places in a good amount of areas.
Yeah.
So as of now, Tennessee is thought of the bright idea of arming their teachers.
Yes.
Or allowing their teachers to be armed.
Yes.
One of the interesting parts about that is the fact that the armed teachers, nobody has to know who's armed. They have I guess there's some kind of clause or part in there to where they can maintain confidentiality of who actually does have a gun within the schools. Because again, from their perspective, more guns, you need more guns to
combat guns.
Combat guns.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So what's your perspective on this backwards ass?
I think it is Tennessee being what I am growingly understanding is just Tennessee. So yeah, I mean, like GS said, you know, it's not a law yet. The governor, I think it's still sitting on the governor's desk, if I'm not mistaken, for consideration. But if they do pass it in a law, teachers and administrators will be able to conceal carry on campus without parents or other teachers knowing. And I guess this was their fix to the Covenant shooting, which I think was last year. I think those babies got killed last year. Yeah. 3
children, 3 adults killed.
And in my head, when I saw it, I was just like, what the fuck are we doing? So last Friday, I got to have a conversation with my kids over at Madison High, and I wanted to talk to them about what had happened at Wilmore Hutchins. And the reason I wanted to talk to them about it is because I heard a teacher make a statement on the news, and he was just like, we're not getting enough press around this, number one. He was like, because of probably what the students look like. He was like, but number two.
Wilmore Hutchins is a Black school.
It is a Black school.
It's us.
He was like, number two, I feel like because the student who was shot didn't die, no one is up in arms about it. He was like, but 2 things have to happen. First of all, we have to give that student, and all of our students who are impacted by this, the same level of comfort, the same level of wrapping our arms around them and making them feel loved. He was like, number 2, we have to stop talking about just the guns or just the security measures at the school, but what's going on in a student's mind, in a young person's mind that pushes them so far as to bring a weapon onto campus and to shoot one of their classmates. He was like, what is going on in the minds of our kids that's forcing this to happen more and more? So I talked to my kids at Madison because I just like to, I know kids don't open up a lot. And so I'm like, maybe they'll talk to me about it. And so at first I was like, how do y'all think this happened? And a lot of the kids, they were on the Tennessee shit, right? Like, oh, it's because they don't check the bags, or they don't even use the metal detectors, and the side doors are unlocked. And it was a lot of like tangible stuff. And I was just like, okay. And I asked him, I was like, I hear all of that you're saying, but go deeper than that for me, just for a minute. And I know it's going to mean you all getting in touch with your feelings and your emotions and sitting in your own thoughts, but go deeper. How do you think this happened? Why do you think think it happened? And when I tell you, I wrote notes down because it got so good. The first student was like, no one's paying attention. He was like, the teachers aren't paying attention. The parents aren't paying attention. One of these students, this kid he's a senior. He said, there's no way that parents are so busy that they don't notice a change in their kids' attitude or behavior. He was like, there's no way that your teachers see you every day and they don't notice if you're sleeping in class all of a sudden or not showing up. He told me, he was like, our administrators and our teachers know who's being bullied and they don't address it. They just walk right past it. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into mental health issues. We started talking about that. And I was thinking, like, even though these kids in the first 5 minutes was on this bullshit, we need more guns and metal detectors and this and that. But when they really sat with what the actual issue is, even they understood that this is like, you talking about like the hearts and minds of people now. This is not, yeah, the guns are a problem, but the problem is people have access to guns who don't need access to guns. And so for me, putting more guns in the hands of someone else who may be mentally unhinged is fucking insane. And I don't care how much y'all talk about, oh, well, they're going to have to go through training and they're going to have to go through, you know, a mental evaluation. I could probably beat that shit too. On my worst day, I could probably beat that shit. Like, I'm a pretty decent shot and I know how to answer all the questions so that I don't seem unhinged. And you just gave me a gun.
I was going to say, let us not run into someone who's disgruntled at their workplace, i.e. their teachers who are disgruntled at their workplace. And you know what?
And a lot of them
sick of your shit.
And a lot of them are right now.
So you are putting guns in the hands of people who are underpaid, overworked. That just doesn't seem like a good mix anyway. Like, that don't seem like a good mix to me. But
Brilliant, Tennessee. Brilliant.
But hey, I mean, it seems logical to y'all. But to your point about the kids know. They're aware. And I think that it's wonderful that you're there because you're a sign of what should be happening in these legislative houses. Like, of course, it makes sense to just say more guns and just appeal to the quote unquote most logical perspective, because that's, again, what you're basically saying is the wherewithal that those kids had in the beginning that they eventually got away from when they started to think deeper. These legislators and these lawmakers they stuck at that first phase.
There, yep.
The first phase of responding, which is more guns, more teachers need to know how to shoot
in exactly that voice.
That's what the problem is. That's what that makes the most. No, it's stupid.
Yes.
Can Mel come and talk to you all and get y'all to think a little bit deeper about your decisions when it comes to these kids? I'm gonna be real. I don't have children, but do you think I want more fucking guns around my kids in at their school?
No,
absolutely not. You know what I'd rather you invest in? I'd rather you use your money to bring in actual counselors, actual people who are trained and certified. I'd rather you use your money to try to figure out what resources are needed for our children so that their mental health isn't the thing that forces them to act or behave a certain kind of way.
Yep.
So that's what I would rather you use your money, use the money for. Hell, kids get bullied for having dirty clothes. Put washing machines in the schools.
That's it.
Kids are hungry. Add more food options. Feed them.
Y'all will put money on everything but solving the issues that cause the issue. And we have said this on this show from our inaugural episode. America is incredibly lazy when it comes to problem solving. It's always just that first thought. It's all right. What's the thing right in front of me right now? I'm gonna try to fix that thing, but you never back up to get to the root cause of the thing.
Let's be clear. They're incredibly lazy at problem solving the issues that relate to humans. But when it comes to capital, oh no, the problem solving. Oh, they can figure out the down to the millimeter of which the cornerstone needs to be built and angled in a way to create this perfect prison. They can think like,
how many beds can I get in here?
How many beds? Like the how many missiles? How many guns? How much weaponry can I send overseas?
Yep.
How much kickback? How can I create laws in which I invest into these businesses and companies when I know that they're about to fall off? Is there a way that I can find out and do my due diligence so that I can save myself? There are so many ways that America uses their problem solving abilities to benefit them, and they are successful in solving those problems.
Right.
Yet when it comes to the the issues that plague the majority of us, the problem solving,
not interested. Not interested at all.
So it
all has to do with capital, right? Like, you look at why we don't have stronger laws around guns. The NRA, at its most basic level, right? The NRA, who lobbies in DC every day. I don't even want to know how many lobbyists the NRA actually has living in DC, not traveling back and forth, but I'm talking about living there so they can be on the Hill when their representatives walk up that they're trying to, give some money to in order to put a law on the books during their next, their next session or something. So they're more than happy to give us a surface level solution. And you're absolutely right. As long as that surface level solution is pacifying just enough people so that they can continue to operate business as usual and get their pockets lined by the people who would prefer to have guns in school because that means more money for them.
Right.
I'm disgusted. I am disgusted with this law. And the problem is, we talk about precedents all the time, especially when it comes to conservative states. One state will put a law on the books and another state will look over and see, oh shit, that works for them. And they'll draft up something almost exactly like the bill that was just passed, and then they'll try to put it on their books. We saw it with abortion laws. We're seeing it with DEI programs. Yeah. We're seeing it with book bans. And I have no doubt that if the governor signs this law, if he signs this bill into law, Tennessee will not be the last. It will not be the last. They'll literally call their homie over there like, hey, send me your bill text. I'm going to use it.
I have no words. That's it. They're going to copy and paste the shit.
Hey, what is it? Control find. Every place where it says Tennessee, put Texas.
Just put Texas.
Simple as that. Simple as that. All right. Our last story, y'all. We got to stay in the South. Child, Mississippi. One of those setting states. They try some shit, and if it works down there, it usually spreads. So Governor Tate Reeves, he has declared April Confederate Heritage Month.
Okay. Let's
talk about this.
So the thing is, there are so many angles to approach this. So the number one, the obvious, the Confederacy lost. The Confederacy was a failed plot to make sure that slavery was still a thing, because we all know the number one reason why the southern states had to come together, or they wanted to come together, was because they felt that their right to own slaves was being infringed on. As states started to get added to America, as they moved more westward, they found themselves in a predicament with some states claiming northern status and them automatically tipping the scales one direction, and the South being like, this is not fair for us. We demand the right to own people and make them do what we say. You guys are making us feel terrible because all we want to do is just enslave people.
That's it. All I want to do is own humans.
All I want to do is just own humans. And y'all want to stop us from forcing them to do our work
and have our babies. I want to, as a woman,
and take care of our babies. Y'all want to also, they're our property. We want to make sure there are laws on the books in which if they escape to the north, y'all send them right back. So we're trying to give you all employment. Y'all are stopping us from giving y'all employment. Y'all are stopping us from keeping people as slaves. The lawlessness, the savagery of you all.
That's exactly how they said it, y'all. Like in that whiny ass tone. That's exactly how.
I cannot believe you guys are stopping us.
Not my people.
Not you, good white people. You're stopping us from spreading Christian values onto these people who don't have anything.
Demons,
I mean, mind you, we took all that away from them. We stripped that all away. But they don't have anything. We're providing them housing.
That's it. What Uncle Ruckus said on Boondock, he was like, we gave you niggas jobs.
We gave you jobs.
Discipline.
We're giving them jobs. And y'all, so sorry, y'all. I just had to that was the number, that was a part of the Confederacy cry.
Babe.
So
I am dying.
So Tate Reeves is saying that all those people who represented that perspective, they need to be, in a way, remembered, honored.
Yeah, commemorated.
So that's the number one thing, which is, it is the.
What do? They barbecue? Like what's the, June.
So they have Confederate reenactments. They have reenactments. That's one thing that they do.
I saw that on a movie once.
So that's one thing that they do. They also, let's be clear too, they have things within these southern states that help them keep the Confederate idea alive. They're just tired of us being like, as black people or people who not black but just have common sense. Why do we still want to keep remembering folks who wanted to enslave people, who supported all these stupid ass ideas? Why do we keep wanting to keep these statues up? Why do we keep these plantations going and people can get to visit them and walk on the same soil that black blood is still a part in the roots of these trees?
I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I'm not saying we should forget history. Like that's where I think I defer with from a lot of people. Like I do believe in remembering history, but I believe in it because it'll keep you from doing the same shit that you did way back when. So I will always say there are certain places you go around the world and it's not like let's take Germany, for example, right? You go to Germany and are there placards on the street that talk about the Holocaust and that, yes. And I remember asking someone in Germany, like, why is this here? Now, there weren't statues or anything, but just as you're waiting on a light, you may be able to read, like, here's what happened in this area at this time. And it wasn't like celebrating the Holocaust, but it was, this happened here. Yeah. And it is being very clear about, we fucked up and this is a stain on who we are. And I remember asking her, I was like, why would they do this? And she was like, oh, they are very clear about making sure that we never go back to that place again. And so everywhere you go, if the Holocaust touched that place in Germany, you are going to see things. And it's specifically what I was told for the next generations, to continue to make sure the generations know what happened there so they can check their own shit even while they're walking down the street. America hasn't even ever apologized for slavery.
It goes to show, like, so we have these conversations for people who have traveled, to places who've gone outside of the U.S. And of course, colonialism, all the bullshit that's come with all of that, the dictatorships, all of those things that have happened in other places. It's interesting because we do see this is one of the reasons why we do see Europe as a more progressive, as a more intellectual body of people, because they don't honor their criminals by putting statues of them up. They don't feel like it is necessary to commemorate the folks who were anti the actual country that they're a part of, anti-German, they're not in Italy celebrating Stalin every year. They're not they're not celebrating these people, but for whatever reason in America, we feel such a closeness to these individuals. And the thing about it is, it's like they have this effect, and it might be because, you know, these are founding fathers. These are people who, I kind of understand it. Let's be clear. I kind of understand it. They're basically saying, my way of life is so good here in America that I have to remember the people who made it possible for me to live this beautiful American life. Now, this beautiful American life that they feel like that they are living is completely absent of the idea of the people that were hurt by the people that they're honoring. So that's why there's a disconnect. They don't know anything about us, and they don't care to know anything about the people who were harmed still here in the States. So it's like, there's no reason to educate them. First of all, they're getting rid of books. Let's be clear here. They're getting rid of TikTok. They're trying to make sure that none of us remember what they did.
Dumb as rocks.
They just want to keep it that way. So I understand it. I'm still just baffled. It's still a befuddlement that they are in 2024. They still have not accepted, number one, that the Confederate lost. And then number two, that what they did and what they stood for was harmful and painful. And the remnants of it are still present today.
Still here. Including in y'all's psyche. Like, that's one of the things that a lot of historians have written on. Obviously, how our own DNA has changed because of the trauma that was enacted on our ancestors. But, and I can't remember if it was in the 1619 Project. I was reading something and they actually switched over to the other side and was like, let's talk about what happened to white psyches because of So it's funny, like we laugh a lot. I remember repeating what you said. It was like, I don't know if the crazy causes the racism or the racism causes the crazy.
We don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg.
But you have to admit that seeing things like this, it's obvious that, you and I have trauma running in our DNA. We know this. And this is why I think Taraji P. Henson said something the other day about how we automatically run away when we laugh. Why Black people run away from each other, and how
even that is
trauma,
it's
right?
Rooted
because we weren't allowed to show joy or like even laugh out loud. And so we had to run away and be by ourselves, lest it spread amongst the group and everyone gets in trouble. Right. And so she was like, that is literally like still ingrained in us. There's a reason why we have to take off when we get a good laugh. So I think about white people and I'm like, y'all have to have some of the same trauma because you had to kill a piece of your humanity to even inflict that type of pain on other human beings. You had to. So I look at this and I'm like, it's fucking mental illness.
It is.
It's mental illness.
It's definitely that. My last point. I think
close us out because I'm done with these people.
Toni Morrison made a very valid point when, I'm paraphrase, when she talked about how it is an absolute shame that for you as a group of people, again, we're specifically talking about white racists who have had power over generations and have used their powers to denigrate, to harm people of color, to keep themselves in power. That's who we're specifically talking to, and the people who enabled it and supported it, that group too. So again, if that makes up the masses of America, then that's the masses of America. But specifically, she was saying that it is a shame that those white people, in order for them to feel empowered, they had to do this to people who had no power. The only way that they can actually feel powerful is by shitting on people who had no power at all.
Bullies.
So imagine that in your psyche. And the thing about it is, the reason why, again, it makes sense as to why y'all want to ban books. It makes absolute sense because what it does, it causes a conflict within your own psyche. And when you have a conflict within your own psyche, you end up mentally disturbed. So a lot of you all are mentally disturbed because of what you're learning and what you're finding out, which is why you don't want your children to have that same disturbance. And I understand why you don't want them, because it's hard for you. Because again, if it was easy for you, or if it was something that you could actually deal with in a healthy way, there wouldn't be a need for banning books and banning information and banning TikTok. And of course, again, still disenfranchising Black folks from voting, gutting civil rights. That's what's happening right now. There wouldn't be a reason for y'all to do that if it did not affect your psyche. So for some people think that y'all are just waiting for that violence to come back on you that you've inflicted.
Yeah.
Some people will just say that it's just emotionally hard for you to deal with because you've never dealt with it. I don't know why.
I would say it's a combination of the two.
It might be both. I don't know why, but I'm saying that my message to white people, to again, whiteness is not restricted to white people, because again, there are Black people who are supporting the white supremacy apparatus as well. Let's be very clear about that. So for all of you people who are supporting this, just know that you cannot stop it. You can't stop it. We're going to continue to educate ourselves. We're going to continue to see the bullshit, because y'all are putting it on full display.
Yeah.
And it won't last forever. The system that you all are creating will not last forever, because it's ran on blood and capitalism.
And your kids are on their college campus protesting right now anyway. So the next generation is already pretty much gone. Save yourselves, because your children are waking up. Yeah. So that's all we got.
So checking in. How are you feeling after today's episode?
Yeah, today was a heavy one. I was actually telling GS, like, I was having a great morning, very productive morning. And then I started really thinking about the topics that we were going to cover today. And I don't know, my energy just got like kind of dark. I was like, but I mean, I think that just goes to show that this shit is very real. Yeah. And, you know, I feel it in my day to day. Now, granted, I am insulated from certain things because my life allows me a certain level of privilege. But I do feel it. And so I'm glad we actually got that out. This was pretty therapeutic for me. I can't even lie. I kind of use this episode as a therapy session, y'all. Sorry. But yeah, all good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. I actually had one of my good friends, they're in town for a conference, and we got a chance to, I know this is gonna sound real nerdy, but we nerded out over some papers over whiteness. And it was like some academic writings, and we got a chance to nerd out last night and talk about it. It was so cool.
I love it.
It was cool.
That's my type of evening right
there.
Yeah,
it was good. So just reconnecting with them. Yeah. Stayed out a little later than what I should have, but outside of that, I mean, I feel pretty good. I've been cutting off things. Actually, today I cut off something. Not that I cut it off, but it was more like I don't have time. I had to say no to it because I just don't have time to give to it. And it was really empowering.
That's good.
So
that's lovely.
Yeah, no disrespect to the person who I had to do it to. It's all love. But I am realizing my limits. And I'm tired of getting to the place to where I'm at my limit. Now I gotta stop. Like, no. I'm getting better in the sense to where I can see where things are going, and I can just start making those changes early on.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to be operating at capacity at all.
Yeah,
times.
like nah, like fuck that.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
That's awesome.
2024 is the year of more.
New leaves.
More peace, more self-love, more self-care. Black men, let's do it. We can do this. 2
evenings in a row now where I was like done working by 6. I know. It felt so good. I was like, wait, it's 6 o'clock and I'm done?
That is cool because I want to say I've experienced that within the last 2 weeks twice. And I have not experienced that to where I was like, I felt like I got everything I could get done.
Yep.
I used up all my energy in the right way. It's only happened, I want to say, in my whole entire life of doing lists for myself, to-do lists. It's only happened twice, and it happened within the last few weeks.
That's awesome.
And I felt like I was comfortably watching TV. I was watching boxing.
Yes.
I love boxing. I love watching political commentary, satirical political commentary. I got on YouTube, found some free movies. I didn't watch them all, but I got it. Oh, my new thing now that I've been figuring out time. So there are there are comic books that they're putting on YouTube. I mean, I'm pretty sure the page has been going, but I just discovered it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing new, I'm assuming. But there are comics that they're putting on YouTube, like the motion graphics.
Like graphic novels?
Yeah, graphic novels. Yeah. And y'all, I'm deep diving. I just watched the one on Logan Wolverine.
Okay.
Fire. Fucking fire.
Look, man.
So
look at us.
Yeah.
Got time for TV.
Look at us. We got time for making ourselves feel better. So
I watched some TV the other night, and I do not turn on my TV, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. It rarely comes on. But that night, I was just like, I have time to watch a movie. Like, this is crazy. And I made some dinner. It was,
my God. That's you next level right there.
Bruh.
You can look, as a grown adult person, if you can make time to make dinner for yourself, a good dinner, I'm gonna make some dinner tonight. I'm tired of this shit.
Yep.
I ain't going out to eat. I ain't buying nothing from CC's Pizza.
Yeah. I got 2 more things to do after this, and I should be done with the day by 7. And I'm gonna watch some TV tonight. It's gonna be great.
I'm gonna make some potatoes and chicken or something. I don't know what the hell.
Get you a vegetable in there.
I can't cook that. Mashed potatoes ain't no vegetable.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Summing this all up. Thank y'all for rocking with us. Like, subscribe, follow us. Big shout out to Sour Kids Production. Kenny, appreciate you, brother.
Always.
IMGS checking out.
Marlissa, and I'll see y'all later.
Peace.
Bye.
And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.